So now that my repository is created, you will see these commands as options. Now this GitHub repository is basically going to maintain some code. So let's say that we have written this much amount of code right into our project as of now. So let's say that we want to put all of this code into GitHub. So to get that done, we can see that there are some existing commands present on GitHub just like this. So it says you get started by creating a new file or uploading an existing file. We recommend every repository to include a README, license, and git ignore. And then it also tells you quick setup if you've done this kind of thing before. But because we are doing this kind of thing for the first time, then let's not focus on this thing as of now. So we will do something out of this one or this one or this one. So in this case, the first one is or create a new repository from command line. So we will basically be trying to use this one only. So let's go ahead to my VS Code, and over here I will be writing the same I will be executing the same commands which are written over here. So let's go ahead and try to do this. We can absolutely ignore the first one, that is all right. So we will write the first command over here. So I will write git space init, init. When I press enter, it is going to initialize the git repository on my system. Now you must have noticed as soon as I press git init, you can see the message is coming, initialized empty git repository. The next thing that you're seeing is that all of these folders have become green. Okay, and on your VS Code, you will see the changes is coming over here, and then you will see all the files that you have created. Apart from that, you're seeing this U icon, which basically means that your file is untracked. Now, untracked files basically mean that your files were previously not present in your project, but now they are present in your project. So that is what is the meaning of untracked. Apart from that, there are some more commands of Git that we must know. That is git status. If I click on git status, you will see a list of files over here. So it tells you untracked files, and then it talks to you about all the folders and all the files that are untracked. So we have a bootstrap folder which is untracked, which is green in color. Similarly, CSS folder, DOM folder, JS folder, events.txt folder, and event.txt file, and test.js file. Okay, so what basically is happening over here is that it is telling us that all of these files were previously not present in the project, but now they are present in the project. Now, what is the meaning that they were previously not present in the project? Because we just wrote git init, then a project was initialized with no files in it. But then the project saw that, okay, there are already some files in it, so these new files must be the untracked files. So that is what git status is also telling you. Apart from that, it is also telling you on branch master, and then it tells you no commits yet. So whenever we use git init, then we always get a set of branches, okay? And the default branch is always master. So every branch in Git is going to contain some version of the code. So there can be multiple branches in Git which contain different snapshots of the code, or there can be one branch of the Git which contains different commits of the code, and every commit is a snapshot of the code. So you can maintain different branches of the code at the same time. Let me just give you one example where branches might be necessary. Let's say that you're working on a project. The project is working well and good. Now let's say that your team lead has asked you that, hey, I want a feature A to be implemented on this product. So what do is that you are currently having a completely working piece of code, but you know that if you start working on feature A, then you might break the piece of code which is already present in the repository. So what do is that you go to a separate branch, or should I say that you create a copy of the code which is working fine, and then you create a separate branch, or let's say that you create it in a separate folder. So to understand it, imagine that you have created a new folder, and inside this new folder, you have copy pasted all the code which is working fine. And then on this new folder, you are working on all of your code which is basically to be used for feature A. So because you have created a copy of the code, the original code is not getting affected. Now, because the original code is not getting affected, there are no certain breaking that is happening in the original code. And that is exactly what we want. So you do some work on this copied code, and then once your work is done, you can bring all of these changes back to the original code base that you were having. That is the original folder. So this is the exact concept of branches also. Whenever you're trying to work on a new piece of code, or whenever you're trying to improve or maintain or even fix up currently a working piece of code, then what do we exactly do is that we create a new branch, make all of our changes there, test all of our changes there, and then bring all of these changes to the parent branch. That is exactly how it works. So now that we have master branch, we can create any other branches as well if we want to. On writing git status, we are saying on branch master, which basically tells us that we are currently at this branch called master, and then there are no commits yet. And that is exactly what we wanted.